What's up, everybody? Welcome to AEW Uncensored. I'm here with Alan. We are the East-West Connect.
Heyo.
And I'd like to apologize for jobbing us out last week. I was stumbling over every goddamn thing I was trying to say. But I'm here to try to get the W.
Well, I job out every week by somehow getting disconnected by Skype, so let's see if we can keep that streak going.
Yeah, we got to do something, man. I mean, between my bumbling and your connection, I don't know what's going on.
Yep.
We got the echo issue handled, so that's a plus. Now I just got to learn to get my thoughts in line here. Maybe I need some kind of mushroom. Don't they, like, Joe Rogan sells all these mushroom cordyceps and all that?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, put a mail order in.
Get him going. Get on it, right?
Get him in time for it to arrive with your Jericho figure next week.
Yeah, right. That's right. Jericho figure, I have gotten a delivery status update that it was in the system. They still haven't picked it up to ship it. So next week we'll be able to show you the bubbly figure. I hope anyway. It's only a state away, so it should be here. Alan actually got his the same day as me. The confirmation. His is being shipped to his parents in New York, so he won't get it till he's up here in August. But his is already on the road. For some reason, mine isn't. So hopefully I'll get mine by Wednesday or so, and then next week we'll be able to show it off.
Yeah, this will be exciting because this will be the very first AEW figure that we have in hand. So we'll see if there's any improvement to what we've been seeing with the sculpts, when we actually do have it, versus just what we've been seeing so far online.
Yeah. So, all right, with the nonsense out of the way, I just want to say, like, share, and subscribe, please. That helps us out, especially on YouTube with the live stream. Let you know when we're going live, which is every Sunday around 4:05. That may change when Alan's back in New York, just because we're on the same time schedule at that point. He's on the West Coast right now, so he's 3 hours behind. So, if you like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell. What's up, Eddie?
What's up, Eddie?
Eddie's in the chat again. Thanks for joining us last week.
Yep.
But hit the bell as well, because then you'll get notified as soon as we're going live. As always, hit the Skype. Catch us on Skype. Send me a thing there, and from there we'll bring you on the show. You get in, you have some discussion with us. We're on all the platforms for iTunes, podcast apps, all that stuff. Deezer, iHeart, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. So check us on any of those. At AEW Uncensored on Twitter. AEW Uncensored Podcast at gmail.com to email us questions, discussions, critiques, what you like, what you don't like. Also on Facebook, we have a page and a group for the show, AEW Uncensored Podcast. Just pop that in the search. It'll pop up. So uncensoredalliance.com is our website. Catch all our stuff there pretty much as well. Quick links for all that. Every show. YouTube show, we put the link for the YouTube shows up there. Check our description on the YouTube for the Skype link. And again, like, share, subscribe, rate us on all the apps. And from there, let's jump right into it, man. What do you got? What do you got? I know you got some miscellaneous shit you want to go through, huh?
Yeah, well, it's not exactly AEW related, but it's kind of AEW related because there were a number of names that we had on our wish list for who was released from WWE. And a number of these guys we really did think were going to go to AEW, and they surprisingly went to Impact. Impact had their Slammiversary show, and so they revealed a number of guys there who, I personally found pretty surprising. I mean, I guess the more I think about it, my original thoughts, when you and I were writing about where, well, why the hell would these guys go to TNA, which is obviously on the way down, whereas AEW is on the way up. And at least insofar as someone like EC3, I mean, let's bring him up. He was, I think, a big surprise for me. But at the same time, the more I was thinking about it, he was treated really well by Impact. He made his name there. He made his stardom there. And maybe with how off the radar he was when he went to WWE, it might have been a grass is greener on the other side kind of a thing where he's like, I'm just going back to where I was a thing. And that could be why he decided to make that jump. But it is disappointing. I would have loved to see him in AEW. I think he would have been a great addition. But alas, there you go.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see him. It would have been nice to see him over there. You know, I don't know much about him. I'm taking the praises of people that I've read say good things about him and you. So Eddie, what's 1 star? Eddie put 1 star in the chat. Is that what you give us? Is that how bad of a job we're doing? Is that your iTunes?
We're already like 5 minutes in, and that's it. Yeah.
I know. Eddie's like, yeah, you're done. You suck. No, seriously. But yeah, so. You know, I was kind of disappointed. It got to the end of the show, and I'm like, okay, it's not the worst. Believe it or not, four of the guys that I had interest in coming to AEW were actually showing up on Impact Slammiversary. So, yeah, he said rating. That's funny. So, you know, it kind of sucks because I could have did without. Like I said, I mean, when we talked about it, I felt the Good Brothers, Anderson and Gallows. I felt that, you know, if they didn't come to AEW, that's fine. I mean, AEW is so stacked with tag teams.
Yeah.
It really didn't, like, I wasn't really too sad about it. But they announced it before the show, which I was a little surprised. But when Heath Slater popped out, that kind of disappointed me because he was probably my top 2, believe it or not. I think Rusev's number 1 for me, and I feel like Heath Slater was my number 2. You know, and I base that all off of what I see from him on the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, which is Cardona and Brian Myers' podcast about the action figures.
Yep.
He's a good friend of theirs, and he's always on there. And man, he's fucking fun, man. I mean, that guy, he got personality. So I really felt like he was a guy that I'd like to see what he could do if they took the reins off him, you know?
Yeah, and it's weird because he is somebody who he definitely knows a lot of the guys in AEW through the podcast or through other means. So yeah, I kind of felt like, unlike EC3, that kind of came out of nowhere. That he just showed up, and then Anderson Gallows also did surprise me because I did feel like, I mean, you're right. I'm actually glad they didn't show up ultimately because, yeah, the more that we are looking at AEW week after week, they are way too overladen right now with tag teams. So unless their idea was to bring them in and perhaps find a way to push them separately, then it's probably more of a boon for TNA, and they got them, and it makes more sense for them to be there. But the overall idea that Impact got the guys that they got just in one shot like this, it's pretty big, and it does make you wonder.
Right, yeah.
You know, for how long now have we been saying that Impact is no competition? They haven't been competition for a very long time, and they still may not be competition.
The other thing you got to wonder is he like show to show? Maybe they didn't sign him to a contract, Heath Slater. Maybe he show to show, and you know, AEW could swoop in and maybe take a look at him. But I don't know. I don't know that they would necessarily bring guys in just to do them show to show like that. I mean, supposedly, FTR show. You know, they got a handshake. They don't have an official deal.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, in this environment, you never know. But I'm still holding out hope that Heath is on a show to show type of deal. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, you say no competition. You know, people say there's no competition. I got to be honest. I only watched Slammiversary, and I didn't even watch it. I just kind of had it on, and I was fucking around on my phone. But I only had it on to see who would come there and dash all my hopes for who would show up at AEW. You know what I mean? So while peripherally
That's a
watching
big
it,
word, Bill.
I like big words. Peripherally watching it, I I can honestly say the women's division in AEW, you know, I give them shit, and they are getting better, but holy fuck, the TNA women are pretty bad. And I'm looking at women I know names of just from online and stuff, and I was surprised that they were pretty bad.
Yeah, and they kind of stepped into that themselves, I think, because when they ended up taking Tessa Blanchard and turning her into the actual champion of the show, you're really saying a lot about what you feel of your women's division. And it's a shame because their women's division, again, I don't know how far back you've been watching TNA. They used to have a hell of a women's division. They had Awesome Kong, they had Gail Kim, they had Taryn Terrell. They had like big names that really were a lot more entertaining than a lot of the men who were on the show at the time. Right. So they've fallen mightily in that regard. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where they land in the overall scheme of things. I still think at the end of the day, the wrestling landscape right now, just having AEW and WWE alone, and now we're talking multiple shows on WWE's part. AEW is eventually going to have a second show. It really does dilute the waters a bit, I think, for anybody else to really try to make a crack. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Eddie mentioned the Beautiful People.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I've heard that name, but I don't know who they are.
That's Velvet Sky. We were talking about her a couple weeks ago. I mean, they were okay.
Oh, is that the one I misnamed?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Red Velvet.
Red Velvet. Yeah, exactly. Every time I hear Red Velvet, it's want some cake now. But, yeah.
You and fucking food. It never ends.
It doesn't end. It doesn't.
Yeah, so anyway, so I was just like, you know, and same with the wrestling that I watched. Like I said, I didn't watch it thorough, but I was watching some of the stuff and I was like, I really wasn't feeling it. I gotta be honest, that Heath Slater segment felt so fucking flat.
Yeah.
It felt flat as fuck. I mean, I don't know what it was. I didn't really like Eddie, Red Velvet. I didn't really fucking get a vibe from that show. I don't know, like AEW kind of set the standard, man. Like you gotta get some kind of environment going, you know. Like it was literally just dead silence, just wrestlers screaming, yelling. I haven't watched a single WWE like show because I'm not into it. So I don't know I know they've changed up, but I don't know what they were doing before. Maybe this is almost the same. So I felt like, you know, that Heath Slater moment kind of fell flat because there was nothing even popping at all. No other wrestlers in the crowd or anything.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That kind of like threw that whole show off as well for me. I was just like, you know. Anyway, so we're kind of going in the weeds now, but so Heath Slater, EC3, a little disappointing. More Heath Slater for me, probably more EC3 for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's to say that's it? That's all that's going to show up. You know, you never know. They got that other the woman won the title, Deanna. What's her name? Don't you know her?
Oh crap! From NXT.
Yeah, Deanna Peruzzi.
Peruzzi, yeah, that's it. Right. And we're probably butchering the name, but yes.
100%.
Yes.
It's funny because she's from Hackettstown, New Jersey. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, is she really?
Yeah, and it's funny because I went to live with my aunt for a few years, and I lived up there. So Long Valley, and then we moved to Hackettstown like the following year. And when I heard that, I was like, holy shit, you know, it's up there. It's up in the mountains, bro. It's like, yeah. It's in the sticks, but
now Eddie.
You know, so that was.
I'm sorry. I was going to say Eddie asked a good question based on this conversation. Now, you know, the fact that these guys went to TNA doesn't mean that Miro, Cardona, Myers are close to coming to AEW.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Yeah. It depends on whether or not they're really feeling that that's going to be like a reaction. Like, oh well, okay, we didn't get these guys, so let's get these. I don't know.
I have a feeling that if AEW's smart, the second that these guys' contract went out, they were all over Miro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's no question in my mind that was their number one gun. You know what I mean? That's where their bullets were loaded and aimed towards, because if it wasn't, they're stupid. As far as Cardona, he's gonna get that rub from Cody. You know, he's gonna get that possibility to get up there because of that. And then you got Brian Myers, who I like. I actually prefer him over Cardona. I think that he has a good chance of getting in there with Cardona as well, especially since they have a long history together. And AEW can use them not only for their wrestling, but I mean, they have a very popular podcast for wrestling fans.
Yeah.
So it's just another way to get their name out there. And they have these two guys. Boom, it's out there.
Yeah, and I think the podcast is a good point. I think that if they are going to pick up any more talent, they should try to find another way to diversify them, and you through the podcast or through something else. Because right now, I am sticking with my opinion that I don't feel that AEW does very well at the moment with time management. They've got way too many tag teams. They have way too many names. They don't really use them properly, and so overloading on more names is not necessarily going to work unless you know how to properly use them. It's like having a fantasy baseball team and you've got all your slots filled and then you have a bench full of 4 to 5 guys. You have to figure out when am I going to be switching out my bench players and how am I going to decide to use them. Having the names is one thing. Being able to know how to time manage them is another. And that's a big challenge at the moment, I think, for them.
Right. And Eddie's in the chat. He made a good point. You can make them both either singles or tag team. So they're interchangeable. Them guys.
Yeah. But again, they got to be singles, I think, because right now too many tag teams. They've got way too many tag teams at the moment.
I think they both should come in as singles as well.
Yeah.
But the opportunity is there in the future for tag teams. And I think I don't know if you watched. 83 weeks with Khan and Bischoff.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that one?
I watched that.
Or listened to it or whatever?
I listened to it periodically. Which are you referring to a specific episode?
With the Tony Khan. With Tony Khan on it.
Oh, no, I did not listen to the Tony Khan one.
Okay. So on that, they've already talked that they're scheduled to get another hour show.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, all right, another show. He said it was an hour on there. He said they're probably not going to do it right now, and they have the opportunity to do it when they feel it's right. TNT gave him that option. So, but he said it's going to be a little bit of a different format. So we know that they'll end up having 4 hours worth of time to book all these people.
Yep.
They need to make it cohesive. Right now, like I said, my feelings on Dark and what I think they're using it for. I think once everything kind of gets a little bit more back to normal, that will change. So once they get this fourth hour, you want to call fourth hour, it's really the third television hour.
Yeah.
With their fourth hour being on YouTube. Once they get that, I think they're going to need to find a good way to cohesively put out all the wrestlers and be able to show them all off. With Dynamite maybe being your top guys and sprinkling in some of these mid and lower tier guys. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because having the extra time does not necessarily mean they're going to use it wisely. I think WWE is a great example of they have a ton of television time. Fucking Raw is 3 hours, SmackDown is a couple hours, and yet they still also have a terrible time managing talent and getting people enough TV time, and they just bury a lot of people on those rosters, and then you never even get to see them. So yeah, it's about getting the extra hour would definitely help, but they have to learn how to use it appropriately. And yeah, maybe that is what they need to light the fire under their asses to do that properly.
Yeah, I feel like that's with Dark. I mean, I get what they're doing. Well, okay, my opinion on what they're doing with Dark currently. So my opinion is they're trying to get some independent guys paid.
Yep.
In this tough environment, which I commend. But I also feel like once this is over, or a little bit more back to normal, I think they need to cut that down a little bit, if not a lot, and really take advantage of that. And honestly, that YouTube show could be 3 hours. Nobody's telling them it's got to be an hour and 10 minutes, or they've done one fucking match for Dark. They did a 16-minute show. So they could do a 3-hour show if they want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about using your what you have and doing it right.
Yeah, YouTube is a advantage for them because they don't have to feel like they need to be constrained to a network's time limits in order to go to the next show. You're right; they can make it different every time.
And you got to understand, if people see that there's content and good content and a reason to watch it and good stories, they're gonna tune in.
Yeah.
They'll go out of their way. You know what I mean? I kind of stopped going out of my way early on. I watch it now when it's, it's all like we talk about old superstars, old main event, WCW main event or whatever. So, but I watch it for the show.
Yep.
For us, for our show to discuss.
I do too.
So,
that's honestly the only reason I watch it now. Oh, and right. For Allie. So I watch for 2 reasons.
And for Allie.
Yes.
Well, I mean, she's part that right now she's doing really good, and she's not getting she's not being shined on over there. It's kind of throwaway. We'll talk about her coming up though. So, you got anything else on these wrestlers?
No, I mean, like I said, it's mostly I was surprised / impressed with how Impact just got a bunch of these guys that I was not expecting them to necessarily get. So yeah, we'll see what happens when the rest of these contracts are up, and we'll see where people go.
Yeah. So I read Henry Cejudo did an interview with an ex-TMZ guy, and he said he's been in contact with AEW to do a possible pay-per-view thing. I don't know if you know Henry Cejudo.
Yeah.
He's an Olympic gold medal wrestler. Yep. He's a two division champ from the UFC who just retired recently. He showed up on AEW with Mike Tyson. He's part of his entourage. Now, I like it. I think it's awesome. Cejudo's one of those guys. He's the king of cringe, as he calls himself, Triple C. He likes to be, I'm a big UFC fan, or MMA fan in general, but he likes to be crazy like a wrestler would. You're almost like, Jesus Christ. Like sometimes you're like, what is he saying? But he's over the top, The only drawback with Cejudo is he's like 5'1".
Yeah.
He's not really. I think he's like 5'5".
He's tight. Yeah, like he 5'4", 5'5". He's small.
Yeah, he's a small dude. Super talented as fuck. One of the best fighters in the world. One of the best amateur wrestlers in the world, obviously, Olympic gold medalist. But that's going to be interesting. I could see him bringing that Tyson angle full circle. So if he's talking about them possibly bringing him back for a pay-per-view, you got to figure maybe he's talking about All In.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So maybe he's going to bring that whole Mike Tyson thing back full circle, and he'll be the guy that kind of, whatever.
I mean,
finishes that.
Yeah, because like we were talking about last week, I kind of feel like when Tyson didn't get involved with Jericho Cassidy, I'm like, okay, have they just dropped this entire thing with Tyson? And if they haven't, and this is the vehicle to bring it back, okay, but
obviously because the Cassidy thing isn't over.
It's not. Exactly, it's not.
It makes perfect sense to still use either Tyson or Cejudo in place of Tyson or both of them.
But
he could be in talks with Tyson and Cejudo,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Tyson though has been now gone for a while enough that story has kind of lost heat. You know what I mean? They really for every.
But Tyson never loses heat, brother.
No, he doesn't lose heat, but at the same time, no matter as big of a name that he is, you still want to at least keep that in the forefront that was a major angle they had going, what feels like now weeks ago, and then they just dropped it like a hot potato. And I get it, you're right. Tyson is somebody who, once he comes back in, it's going to be fine. But just from me, I'm always thinking about storytelling cohesion and everything like that, and that's what bothers me is that it feels like they've just let that go on ice. And hopefully, if he does come back through this, if this is a vehicle to bring him back, then great, and then at least there's another layer to it in that case as well. Then,
right. Yeah, so that's cool. Being a MMA fan, I thought that was interesting. I caught that yesterday while I was perusing the net there. Perusing the net. How lame was that?
You're using a lot of big words today. I was going to say, perusing is.
But just saying that was so lame, bro. Oh my god.
You need to say it like very smoothly with your thumb up your nose, like, well, that was producing the net.
Producing the internet. Ugh, I can't believe I even said that. It just sounds so like 90s. Which I guess the 90s ain't a bad, but there's certain things you got to leave in the 90s. Yeah. So, all right. Before we get into the shows, do you have anything else miscellaneous to cap off?
I don't. Not for this week.
So, before we get into the shows, I'm gonna go on a rant. I know you've been wanting me to rant, and I don't know if the people are ready for a Bill rant, but
we need to, by the way, get special effects where when you rant, there's these flames in the foreground.
That's a good fucking
dude.
idea.
It's really cool. There's another podcast I follow, not wrestling related at all, where one of the co-hosts every now and then she'll just start ranting, and all of a sudden they have this special effect of flames, and you hear like sizzling and crackling in the foreground. And we need to find a way to do that.
Dude, why don't you tell me this when we're like in like podcast meetings?
I just thought of it.
Oh my god. Hold on, let me write this down. Foreground flames.
Foreground flames.
Hold on.
See if we can get like.
Let me get the post.
But make it look, for you and I, like make it look like 16-bit style, like you're playing Final Fight and someone tosses a.
That would be dope too. Yeah.
16-bit style flames with sizzling and crackling.
The cut scene pre-boss fucking fire.
Yes.
Yeah. That's fucking hilarious. You're right. We do need to. I do want to add some fucking goofy shit to this. I do want to fucking, there's a couple things that I've thought about and we've talked about that I'd like to add to the podcast. Yep. But I think as we go, we'll start doing a little more of that. But yeah, okay. So that's a fucking great. I love this flame idea. You're brilliant, man. This is. I don't know why.
It's not my. I can say it's my idea for the show, but again, I got it from seeing it happen on another show, and I was just like, that's a fucking good idea.
Listen, we're all inspired some way. You know what I mean? So, all right. So rant time. Why the fuck does every wrestler point to his opponent now? Like he points or waves them on. It's like, why do we need these cues? You didn't see these fucking cues in the 80s and the 70s and the 90s. Why are we cueing other wrestlers to do what they do? They'll point and do that like the fucking legs, like the cartoons. They're like, da, 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 and they're pointing at them like, come to me. And it's like, bang, then they hit their move. Why are we doing that? What the fuck purpose does pointing and waving guys on? What is that doing? What is that doing?
It's a generational thing. If you want,
it makes you look like you're fucking fake.
It does.
It makes you look. Well, obviously wrestling is scripted. I don't want to fucking disrespect wrestling as fake and all that. It's scripted. You're making it look overly scripted, man. Like you're ruining the integrity of it by having to do that.
And there's a similar problem to that too, which, it's funny, if you watch Botchamania, I'm sure a lot of our audience watches Botchamania. Botchamania has a mini segment called You Talk Too Much, which is great. They proceed with, you talk too much, homeboy, you never shut up. And then they start showing all these sequences of wrestlers calling their spots or saying things out loud, and they'll put captions of what they're saying.
Right.
It's a generational thing, and I don't know when it started. Believe it or not, I think it may have started with Cena, because Cena was the reason why Botchamania created that whole thing. He would shout out loud where you would hear him even in the crowd, leg drop, throw him into the corner, blah, blah, blah. It used to be all vocal cues, but you're right. Now there's a lot of physical cues, which makes it look even worse.
Right. I don't mind hearing a fucking guy every once in a while, because, obviously, there's so many more microphones than there used to be.
Exactly.
I get that, but it's like the fucking physical cues are so obnoxious. It's it's like, I don't know, like we should put up a poll. Like if we had more Twitter followers, like I would put up a poll, but 9 Twitter followers isn't going to help a poll. It won't get us nothing.
Well, 5 versus 4, we'll know who won, so.
We just started the Twitter, so it's fresh, like it's got to come organically, man. I ain't buying fucking Twitter followers. That's lame. So, no, seriously. What's worse, the refs constantly being in the wrestlers' faces, or them like cueing them to fucking come at me or pointing at them to cue them to come at me. What's worse? I don't know which is worse.
The queuing is worse. At least the refs.
You think the queuing is worse?
Because the refs getting into faces and such, you can at least write that off as okay. Some refs just do that and fine, but it doesn't affect you. It doesn't bring you out of the match the way something like that does. I feel that the physical cues will actually take you out of the match.
Oh, dude. I'm watching it. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, stop cueing people to come to you or, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
However they're learning, because, it's happening across the board. It's happening in WWE. It's happening in AEW. Whoever is now doing training, they need to, like, find a way to remove that from however they're teaching people because, it's awful.
Yeah, I just had to rant on that, man. That was something that I saw, and I just put it down there.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's it on the rant. I mean, it was a little more docile. I think once I get the fire flames going for the next rant, that's when I'll have to step it up because I'll have flames too.
And one last thing, proceed it with like a siren, like rant incoming, you know.
Man, you're crazy. I'm fucking barely holding on with all this technology over here. I gotta click this little eyelid to open the screen and mute this and start. Man, you're crazy. Then your box is constantly fucking expanding and shrinking.
Is that still happening?
No, today's
good. Okay,
but I'm like in the middle of talking, I'm like, fuck, I got, honestly, I don't even give a shit if you look like a fucking little tiny box in the corner. I'm done. This fucking technology. I'm like, they got a little lock here on this OBS for it to not do anything and not move, but it's still fucking. Anyway. So I don't know about adding sounds to that. I mean, but here I am. I want to do a little soundboard too. So who am I kidding?
Yeah.
So maybe once I get a soundboard working, maybe I'll do that. But yeah, I definitely want to go on the flames. So all right, let's move on, man. Enough fucking around. Enough joking. Well, there's never enough joking. We could keep going, but I mean, for now, so we don't want this shit to run 7 hours. All right, so Dark, boom. I have one note.
Yeah.
One note. So whatever the fuck you got, start. I'm gonna let you start it since I always fucking start these things.
3 words. I love Allie. That's it. Allie's awesome. Again, her and Brandy. It's like night and day. It's like. You've got one who is just absolutely has no business being in that ring. And then you have another one who they need to get her out of that tag team, put her by herself. Allie is easily somebody who can be contending for a championship, get a championship. She is being wasted at the moment.
We could talk about that when we get to Dynamite as well.
Yeah.
We could add that because there's a little spot in there where we could talk about that. 100% agree with you. I didn't really watch the match, if I'm not mistaken. I kind of just, honestly, most of it, I fast forwarded through a lot of it.
Yeah.
Nothing really, if the match was a little interesting to me, I left it go. Remember last week I said I wanted to see that Will Hobbs guy, and he got Superman punched in like 3 seconds. Yeah. Well, Will Hobbs was on a 6-man, I believe, and I watched him do 3 moves, and I was like, I'm not interested in paying attention enough. So I don't know how he did the rest. He looked like he screwed up one move, but I could be wrong. He could have just more looked like he screwed up. Looked like he was supposed to get his leg kicked out, but he went to a knee before the kick even came. So I don't know how he wrestles. I guess next time I got to focus a little more on him to see if if he's what I would hope he would be. For AEW, what I hope he could become for AEW in the future, I should say.
Yeah.
But all right. So my only thing, of course, was I'm on this group. The only thing I have for this week was Avalon and Cutler versus Jurassic Express. I say it every week. I basically am just repeating myself. Avalon and Cutler are fucking good.
Yeah, they're great.
They're good fucking wrestlers. Cutler's really clean, dude. Really fucking clean.
Yeah.
And Avalon, I mean, you could see the guy's been doing it, and he's been doing it at a good level. While he's an indie guy, he wrestles like he's been there. You know what I mean? He doesn't wrestle that sloppy indie style. Obviously, I've seen both guys miss a couple things, but nothing that's too crazy. Jurassic Express. I love fucking Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus actually looked good, man. He didn't look as stuttery as he usually looks.
Yeah.
So I got to give him the props on that because I shit on him when he looks all like extra plotting and deliberate. You know what I mean? So he looked good, man. He looked good on that match, and that's all. That's all I had on it. That's all I had on Dark.
Yeah, I mean, it would behoove us to say that there was the Brian Pillman Jr. For the FTW Championship. So that was nice. That is something that surprised me a bit. I would have thought that you would see something like that maybe on the main show, but maybe when it comes to Brian Pillman Jr., they're still looking at him more as that kind of status for, okay, he's on Dark at the moment, and so we're going to try to have a little feature for Dark. I did think it was nice. It was a decent match, but I thought it was a nice way to cap off Dark to have that kind of
what I watched of it. Yeah, what I watched of it was a pretty good match. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Brian Cage is good, man.
Cage is great, which is going to lead into my fucking rant. When it's my turn to have the flames coming up. So
we'll get there. Start us off.
Yeah.
Dynamite.
So yeah, Dynamite was all right. The Cody Sonny Kiss, leading things off, I thought was a really good match. It was, I don't know, a lot of people give Sonny Kiss a lot of shit for different reasons, many of which there's no reason to go into here, and it's silly. Sonny Kiss is a great performer. I thought it was a very, definitely a good spot for him to be in. Definitely an eclectic performer. Works well with Cody. I thought there was a lot of good rhythm in the match. I did think that, again, you look at...
I think the opposite.
Did you really? Okay. I don't know. I liked it. I think, again, the big story of the match was not necessarily the match itself, but once again, you are continuing to have these heel tendencies that Cody is doing, and it's pretty obvious at this point that
more and more every
week. And it's I think this was probably the most of any other match that we've seen where Cody is definitely just in that direction. You could only have this going on for so much longer before he just snaps and goes heel.
Yeah, I felt actually the opposite. I thought the match was sloppy. I thought the timing was off. Now, they referenced this during the match. I don't know if some of it was scripted in or if the announcers kind of seen it, capitalized on it, made the adjustments, or Tony Khan was in their ear and said, hey, this match is a little bit sloppy, kind of mention it, and Cody's heel tactics, maybe he said, yeah, get a little more heelish, so they could kind of say, maybe that's why he's being extra aggressive, whatever. They did mention Tully was out there watching, so they brought attention to that whole thing, the whole Four Horsemen possibility. Then you hear Arn tells Cody when he's out on the outside, because he didn't like the way he was using his tactics. So get your head out of your ass, So it's like that contrast of Cody being a little bit heelish, Arn not liking it, but Tully's out there watching it. So it's almost like, where's it gonna go?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. I mean, the Four Horsemen thing's so overblown right now. I just almost wish they would make a move on something if they're going to do anything.
And I did have a problem with one thing with continuity, and I guess I get why this happened. This is more of like the real world kind of coming in. Cody, for as much as he was acting heel, at the end of the match, he checks on Kiss, gives him a hug, says some encouraging words, raises his hand. That was great to see. And that was more from, I think, what's going on in real life, where a lot of people are very upset that Sonny Kiss is in this position, and Cody has come out on Twitter to defend Sonny Kiss, which is great. The problem with this, though, is it kind of takes the whole wind out of the sails a bit of, okay, he's going heel. Right. It's very unusual to see that kind of a progression. And all of a sudden, though, for the very end, they can decide, well, let's pull back just for this. Give him a hug, raise his hand, da-da-da. They kind of kill it there a little bit, but I get why they did it.
But he's been doing that after every match anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not the first time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just think they got to get to the point now, though, where it's happening enough where they just got to flip the switch now. Because now, this is, again, here's my flames. I feel like I say this every week. AEW does not know when to close out a storyline for their lives. They let it go, and they let it go, and they let it go until it runs out of steam, and until when they finally do flip a switch, it feels anticlimactic.
See, I'm the opposite. I don't like that need to be done right away.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the slow burn storytelling. I really do. And I do agree that that's important. I feel that AEW goes beyond that, though. I think that they need to find a happy medium. They need to find a way to do a slow burn storytelling. I completely agree that that's needed. But there are things like this, like the Cage, Moxley, feud and everything, where it goes over and over and over again, where it almost feels like it's being repetitive. There's a way to be slow burn and to still feel like you're evolving, as opposed to slow burn, but you're staying on that same dial week after week, where you don't really necessarily feel like the story's progressing. That's the difference between slow burn storytelling and running in place. And I feel like they run in place a lot more than they do proper slow burn storytelling.
Okay. All right, I got you.
But this is an example of that, in my opinion. I'm like, just turn him. We get it. Turn him heel. Let's see what happens. So.
Eddie wants us to fight.
Well, that'll be our.
Fuck you, Alan.
We'll get to fight. If we ever have our eventual Hogan podcast, then we'll fight quite a bit.
Yeah, right. So, but I mean, Sonny has a lot of potential. I've said it. There's a couple things that I would cut out of the repertoire. Actually, some of the things that were criticized, I felt rightly so, but in another way, the criticism was just not done in a tactful way. It wasn't done in a constructive way. Like, we don't touch on this shit, so I'm not touching. I don't want to touch on it, but I will say a couple of the moves that I've mentioned in the past don't work, and it's not because of the moves. They're just awkward. They just don't work in the sense of a match. It's almost like let me think of a move. I can't remember who does it, but it might even be Kiss, where they walk over the opponent. As they're walking over, they drag their foot across their body, and the person literally like flips over because they want them to flip over. But it's like, I could, if you're laying on the ground, Alan, and I step over you, and with my rear foot as I'm coming to step over you, I toe you to try to roll you over on your stomach, you're not fucking going anywhere, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys, they just roll. So my point is, like, things like that don't work. I don't think it doesn't look feasible. So again, it goes to the pointing thing. It's like, it makes it look bad. So it's like, couple moves, the split thing off the top rope. Yo, it's impressive as fuck. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't do half a split, but it's very awkward. It's very like, I don't know. The timing is not good. You know what I mean? Of course, the fucking butt part. I mean, I don't give a fuck about the move. I'm not. Do you? I don't have no problem with it, but it's not like a feasible move. It's like, it's the same as I'm not going to move you when I try to tow you over. I'm also not going to be able to grab a rope and do a accordion with my the fucking feet to bring you back and forth into my ass. Yeah. It's not a feasible move. I don't give a shit. If the move was feasible, I don't care about it. It's okay. I accept it. At this point, I accept it. Whatever. Hopefully, like I said, it's more of an indie style that a lot of these wrestlers are getting away from. The more and more they're out there on TV, to a degree, So maybe it's something. And honestly, you haven't. I don't remember seeing it a lot recently from him. So I think he's almost in a way dropped it. So while I felt the approach is wrong, I felt like a couple of the move sets that they were kind of going in on was correct, but not for the same reason. You know what I mean? Like, maybe not for the same reason why they were criticizing.
Yeah.
So again, I'm a fan of Sonny Kiss. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I'm a fan of Sonny Kiss. I don't think he's to his full potential yet. And that's all I'm saying, is I think there's some moves that need to be taken out just because they don't look good.
Yeah.
Because they don't work. If they worked, I wouldn't give a fuck if what you did. You know what I'm saying? I honestly don't care. If it worked, it worked. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So that's my point on the moves. It has nothing to do with anything other than workability in a match. You know, I can't remember who does that foot thing, but it pisses me off. And somebody in AEW. And if I see it next time, I'll try to take note.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who does that too now, because I feel like I have seen what you're talking about. I just can't recall who does it. And
I almost put it in my notes at one week, and I didn't. I should have, but you know, so that's that. And I'm skirting around shit because there's no negativity at all, aside from the moves not working in the grand scheme.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't play that bullshit with anything else. So anyway, before I fucking get too much off track, yeah, I felt like this match was more to turn Cody heel, to showcase Cody going heel than anything.
Yeah, for sure.
The turnbuckle spot was pretty awkward. I didn't, you know, kind of didn't work for me. Wasn't executed well. So, but that was it. That's all I got on that.
All right.
Now that we spent fucking 50 minutes on the opening match, which wasn't that great. So we got the debut of the Nightmare Sisters, but they're 3-0.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. Maybe the name the Nightmare Sisters, because maybe that was the first time they're using the name the Nightmare.
No, they've been using that for a while now.
Have they on Dark? I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe a week or two ago they said. All right, but they're like, yeah, it is the debut of the Nightmare Sisters, but it's like, just say it's their Dynamite debut.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't say that. He goes, it's their debut, and it's like they're 3-0. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You're looking around like, what's wrong with you? Anyway, I have no notes for this. I mean, it was quick, and I got to be honest. I mean, from the little bit I watched, I mean, Brandy didn't look too bad. So,
she looked better than she did on Tuesday, for sure.
Right.
You know, and again, there's so little continuity in how they're framing it. Like on Tuesday, they made it look like they're finally starting to get along, and now they kind of took a step back, and now it looks like they're not getting along, and it's like, okay, well, which way is it?
I think they're gonna play that up back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, over time.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck this turns out to be. Speaking of that, now you know what? We'll wait a little bit further down. FTR Lucha Bros, get us started.
Yeah, so this was pretty good. FTR again, they look great. You know, I'm really happy with how they're performing. I think again they're really getting a chance to be showcased a lot more than they've been able to be showcased in WWE. I think they have really decent chemistry with the Lucha Brothers. And yeah, you know, again, never really much impressed with tag team matches in general for this show, but no, I thought this is pretty good. Yeah.
Surprisingly started a little rough for me.
It started a little rough. I'll agree with that, but I think overall it was really decent.
Yeah. Started getting a rhythm back after commercial break. I felt like it really took off after that. That fucking dive, yeah. Jesus Christ. That dive that Wheeler did, I think who'd he do it to? Do I have who he did it to?
Let me see if
I think it was Phoenix. I think
it was Phoenix too. I'm looking.
He did that dive into a fucking swinging DDT.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck was going on right there? That shit was impressive.
Yeah, it was very good.
And you know that whole you know, fists not flips or whatever they go by, you know, it's like, you know, so they're like, I like that they're kind of throwing that in there, and it's like, oh fuck you, we could do it all, you know. That was pretty cool. Did Dax gig his titty, bro? It looks like he gigged his titty, bro.
It did.
Like he had two two straight ass lines, and they were bleeding, but they were barely bleeding. On the floor, I couldn't tell. I saw blood, but I'm like, where is it coming from?
I was.
And then towards the end, I was like, man, did he gig his tit? He got the blood on his titty there.
I literally just shuddered.
I like the ending. I like how the Bucks came up from behind, did the sneak attack, super kicks, stereo super kicks. He gave the key to him. And of course Kenny comes out. Kenny tries to make amends and brings him out some Miller Lite, I believe, and all Sharpied out, which was
of course
weird. That was weird. You had no gaff tape back there, like so then they dump the beer on Kenny, and Kenny gets hot, and then I feel like that's the way they're going. We'll talk about it a little later as well, but now you got Kenny and Hangman possibly leading to them versus FTR for the titles, and the eventual split. And how I felt the split was going to go from the beginning is how it's looking like it's going to go. I always felt like it was going to be Kenny turning heel. We'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah.
So, but it was funny that they gave him the key. They try to get away in the car. They're trying that key. I don't know. It must have been some random key they gave him. I don't understand why they wouldn't give him the actual key. But they're trying hard, and it's right on TV, and they're just prolonging this camera shot with them trying to start the car. And I can tell you right now, he was probably like, what the fuck is going on? We look like dummies on TV right now.
It did look pretty silly. They hang the shot a little bit too long. It really does look a bit silly in that case. It was entertaining, but it was silly.
Yeah, I jumped ahead a little bit. FTR did acknowledge Tully in the crowd with the Four Horsemen symbol. Yes. I don't know if you caught that. I don't remember which guy threw it up.
Yeah, so I feel like now they're showing Tully at every match. It's like, oh look, in the middle of the match, here's Tully.
That's why I don't know. That's why I don't know if they're really gonna officially do it or not.
Right.
Supposedly Conrad Thompson owns the Four Horsemen trademark.
You're kidding.
Yes.
I did not know that.
No, I'm not.
He bought the trademark to the Four Horsemen?
Apparently.
Shit, okay. That was news to me.
I could have swore Arn bought it when he got released. I thought unless he bought the name Arn Anderson, I don't know.
I'll say I would believe more that Arn has it, but you know what? Conrad owns practically half the world at this point when it comes to wrestling, so it's surprising, I guess.
Conrad is part of all their podcasts anyway.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
The other thing I liked about the match was the pin using the mask when he ripped the mask off. That was fucking good. It worked. It was so smooth. He jumps over, yanks the mask, and goes for the pin. And, of course, Phoenix, basically covering his face, has no option but to cover his face because, and I like how they framed it. Listen, that's not a disqualification here like it is in Lucha Libre in Mexico. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And I just always got to say, Phoenix is a fucking savage, bro. I love Phoenix.
Yes, he's great. He's great.
Dude is so good. So good. I like that spot with the mask. I thought that was really creative.
Yeah.
Good way to put them over and keep Lucha I almost said Luchasaurus. Lucha Brothers looking smooth, looking good. Because it was a good match, obviously, overall. And you don't want them to lose any shine as well. So... well, she got on it. Anything left? Or?
No, that's it. It's again, it's doing what it needs to do. It's furthering the storyline nicely with all the guys. With Young Bucks and FTR, with Omega. Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to seeing. I would like to see Omega go solo at some point again soon.
Yes. What do you got? What do you got on the Jericho promo? What's your take?
It's funny when I was reminded of when did this happen? This happened years ago where something was going on in the ring at WWE and then all this beer comes down from the ceiling and they're all slipping and sliding. And it's like, oh, okay, same thing, but with orange juice. Right. It was entertaining. I don't know. I don't really know what you really do at this point with the Jericho Cassidy rematch, unless as to what you said earlier. If this then finally furthers getting involved, Tyson and everybody else, then maybe fine. Right. Other than that, I don't know if it's necessarily, if I'm looking forward so much to a rematch. He does, apparently Jericho once again broke the internet. He's now saying he's the demo god, and so apparently that
was fucking great.
So that's once again just like with the bubbly. It's like now there's shirts and there's all this stuff that they're going to be coming out. It's like every time he just comes up with one of these catchphrases that he knows how to do it.
It's a shirt.
It's a shirt.
Demo God was fucking great. That was really honestly great.
Yeah. So it was entertaining.
Yeah, the promo was great. When they did the far shot and he started doing the thumbs down thing, I was like, I knew something was coming down.
Yeah.
Because they did that far away shot, and you're like, I knew something was coming
exactly.
down. I assumed it was orange juice. It was fucking hilarious because the towel thing worked well. I almost wonder if the cameraman, did a cameraman hand it to him?
I think so. I think that, yeah.
It's almost like, was that one of the best friends, handing him the towel?
Yeah.
That was my thought process on it. I didn't look close enough, but I thought the towel was funny, and he sprinkled it out well enough. Like he started close, and then he starts sprinkling it out, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I believe they said they have it on the website.
Oh yeah,
for sale.
Of course.
Which is funny as well.
Of course.
It's a nice little plug.
Yeah.
Now, I love Ortiz. He's like one of my favorite AEW guys. Bro, too much. He was too much on that show. Too much of that fucking ice, skating on thin ice shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like flopping around, falling. At one point, I think Jericho even got annoyed because Jericho goes, "Get up, you idiot." He goes, "Get up, you idiot."
That might have been legit.
And right. Jericho, like he's not one not to speak his mind.
Yep.
It was pretty funny. I did watch a slow-mo throughout the week where you could see Santana looks like as the shit's coming down, and I guess it already came. As it's in the middle of coming down, he like looks like he's doing a fucking moonwalk in slow-mo to get away from it to the ropes. It's fucking hilarious, man. It was hilarious. But yeah, Ortiz, as much as I love him, he was a little too much out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little too much. But then you'd be remiss if we didn't say that, like we've said in the past, when AEW does something, sometimes they decide to do it too much. The next thing is just before this, Kenny gets doused, then Jericho comes out, they get doused. So it's like AEW, they go a little overboard when they do things.
Yeah.
They can't just douse one guy. They got to douse two guys on the show. So again, it goes back to what we were saying, like last week or the week before. It's like sometimes AEW just overdoes certain things.
Yeah, I feel like they have a bingo card.
Just because they can.
Yeah, they have some kind of a bingo card of the things that have to be overdone, and they're just marking off that bingo card.
Yeah. So whatever. And we got Jurassic Express versus the Elite, which is Marco and the crew versus Bucks and Kenny. Interesting part was after the dousing, of course, they cut away to Hangman drinking, and then eventually Hangman drinking with FTR.
Yes.
So my notes are this Kenny Hangman thing is about to start heating back up.
Yep.
So
that's again just similarly to what I was saying earlier with Cody. I think you've kind of hit the point of no return now in this whole situation. Once you have them drinking together, it's like, all right, what left is there to do now? How do you have Kenny being able to coexist with Paige after seeing something like that?
And I get it. This was very, very hot when the fans were there. But at this point, it's almost like it's time to go because the fans ain't coming back anytime soon.
Exactly.
So, like you said, it's I did like the spot where the Bucks held who do you held? They held Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy outside, which allowed Kenny to do the dive on them. I like that. They held them. They didn't just stand there in the fake daze of 4 guys.
Exactly. That worked very, very well.
It made a ton of fucking sense. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's funny because I used to not pay too close attention to the dives and shit, but a lot of people complain about it, so then I start looking at it more, and then I start getting all fucking grouchy about it, you know. So I'm glad they did that. It was kind of, let's hold it. Jungle Boy's a star, man.
Jungle Boy's great, and again, I keep saying this every week. It's like I just want to see him in singles at this point. He's great. 100%. He needs to be in singles. He needs to be competing for some titles. Even he's fantastic.
100%. And that destroyer, too cumbersome, too much, too set up, too fake. Again, it's almost like the pointing thing. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna climb on the second rope, and then I'm gonna use you to support me and stand there while I wait for your guy to set up and jump on top of me. So I'm gonna use you to set myself up for your guy to jump on me and give me the Canadian Destroyer. Failed.
Yeah.
Which was an otherwise good match. I didn't like that. I really just, whatever. But I got in caps, I got yes, heel Kenny. With a lot of S's, a lot of E's, and a lot of N's.
Yep.
Yes, heel Kenny.
Yep.
Okay? That's how my notes read. So,
I like it.
I want the cleaner. I've been wanting a cleaner for a while.
Yeah.
I thought early on they were going to go cleaner because they started doing that. Him and Mox would always come out and they'd have the broom with the fucking barbed wire, and he would always reference the broom or the mop or whatever, So I thought he was coming out as a cleaner, but whatever. I mean, I think we're gonna get him soon, and I really hope the Bucks change turn with him, because the Bucks, I can get behind the Bucks being arrogant little cunts.
Absolutely, they work much better as heels than they do as faces.
Yes. Arrogant little punks, you know what I mean? Like the fucking, I could get down with that. What else you got on that match? Anything?
No, I mean, post match was a little weird. Was Omega supposed to be like almost like drunk, the way he was just like, he slumps into the corner, he starts talking to himself.
I felt
weird.
I felt like that's just him being pissed off and fucking
okay.
Like, just for me, it's like he's kind of pissed off and, he beating up, like everybody's kind of like against him. So he's kind of like, whatever. I liked them beating him up. That was pretty cool. I mean, it's easy to get heat off Marco.
Yeah.
So, wasn't too bad. I felt like the holding back during the FTR thing was a little more awkward than the Kenny Jurassic Park.
Jurassic. No, I always do the same thing. I always say Jurassic Park in my head too. It drives me nuts.
Jurassic Express. Yeah. So I felt like that was a little more like you're not holding him back enough,
right?
Or Kenny's not going hard enough, or you're letting him too close to FTR. I felt like Kenny was getting a little crazy, but I felt like the Bucks were letting him get way too close.
Yeah, for sure.
Because then you make Kenny look stupid, because Kenny's literally on top of him and can do something, but he's not doing anything because he's not supposed to be able to touch them, because he's supposed to be being held back. So I felt that I felt the other one, the end of this one played a little better. And then let's talk about it. Since they're kind of back to back here. Oh, you know what? Fuck. For some reason, okay. My notes before about the Nightmare Sisters, I didn't realize. I took that. They must have mentioned them earlier in the show.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that was later on. But it was fine to talk about. There wasn't really much to say.
I mean, well, at that point, I just had that note to say.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of, that's why I took the note.
Yeah. There wasn't too much
next time, just say, the match didn't happen right there, dumbass. Pay attention. Just let me know.
I'll say that verbatim.
Yeah, exactly. I give you a little fucking voice box over there. You hit it every time I say, shut up, dumbass. Sorry, so Shida, fucking great. They give her a promo. Awesome. They're giving her promo time. I fucking love it. And yet again, she's gotten better with English.
She's getting much better.
Every time, she's so much better with the English. I love that they're even giving her the opportunity, and they're letting her go out there and do her thing. I think that's great.
Yep, I agree.
So, she kind of, from what it sounds like, she's offering an open challenge to women to face her for the title, since almost all their singles talent is tied up or can't make it or injured or whatever. So that's great.
And this is, again, where, in my opinion, it would be smart if they just cut this whole Nightmare Sister crap and have Allie be the one to just walk in and go, I want to challenge you.
Which is what I was going to bring
Really,
up.
yeah.
I feel like, number one, it's good, the open challenge, because now you're doing the same thing with Cody, where you can bring in somebody as a challenger. Maybe Ivelisse, is that how you say it? Ivelisse. She's now going to be on next week. So now maybe she jumps in after her match and says, I want to challenge you. Boom. Now you got her. People been calling for her to be in the show in AEW for a while. And then maybe Tessa shows up, man. Maybe there you go.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. I mean, again, we'll see how that goes.
So... you have anything on her interview there? Or?
No, I agree with what you were saying. It's like she's sounding great. I do like the direction this is going in with her having an open challenge kind of a situation, and it actually does make a lot of logistical sense, considering that for real that whole division is in shambles at the moment, with everybody just dropping like flies.
Right. So I mean, we could rehash, because we could bring this up now, but Nightmare Sisters versus two women. I call them jobbers. I'm sorry.
They are,
but
pretty much.
Pretty much. Surprisingly good work by Brandy. I put, I mentioned it, and then surprisingly, since the dark work has been awful.
And I don't understand why they were on both Dark and Dynamite. That was very, very odd, especially because the fact that when they were on Dark, they seemed like they were getting along, and then the very next day on Dynamite, they look like they're not getting along. And it's like, why are we seeing them 2 nights in a row? I didn't understand that.
Well, I think they're moving them. They're trying to move them onto the main card.
Okay.
I think at this point, so their main show.
Yeah.
So, like you mentioned, my opinion is you have a fucking stud in Allie, right? Who's fucking championship ready, man.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Yep. She's outshining everybody else right now at the moment.
If you're dumping shit left and right, you're dumping anything Brandy does. Dump this too. Get rid of it, because it's not worth it. Dump the fucking QT bullshit. Boom. Allie right in the title picture. Chasing the title. I wouldn't put it on her, obviously. I'd let Shida get her run, but I would actually put maybe a back-to-back thing and give it to her early next year.
Yep.
I would maybe give it to Allie early next year, my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
That's just quick thought on that. Anything else you want to touch base on that?
No, I love Allie. That's all I need to say.
There you go. You're a bunny boy.
I'm a bunny boy, man.
We're gonna name you the bunny boy.
Ironically, I work on bunnies things in my career, so it's like, yeah, okay, this makes sense.
All right. And fucking yes, the fucking action figure commercial that they've teased pictures of when they've brought the production samples out recently on all the Twitter outlets and all that and all the social media. You assume they were doing something because they were all decked out and they were all holding the figures. So they got the commercial. It had a little bit of a Hasbro feel.
It did.
A little bit, but not much.
Yeah.
I love the stop motion action,
yep.
which was fucking awesome. Man, it's just great having the wrestlers behind them yelling shit or talking.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Man. As a toy nerd and toy fan, and somebody's going to be collecting AEW figures, I fucking thought it was amazing.
No, I agree. They did a very good job with it. It did have that old Hasbro feel, or even an old LJN feel. They eventually got to the point in the LJN commercials where you did have the wrestlers egging on the kids playing with the figures.
Yep.
So they did. Yeah, it really did feel that way, and it's exciting.
And you know me, I'm a big Hasbro, WWE Hasbro fan, WWF Hasbro figure fan.
Yeah.
While I wasn't much of a WWF fan, I did enjoy the figures,
And I'm old.
and I did like some of the guys.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm older, so I was into the LJN
right.
rubber wrestling line. I love that line. I wasn't so much into the Hasbro line.
I like them too. It's funny because I had LJNs. I didn't have many. I'd have like 2 at a time or 3 at a time. Then I'd end up with 1. But I would literally I wouldn't do anything with them. I'd literally throw them at fucking buildings and throw them on a roof and shit like that. In the 80s, most of the shit I got was G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
So that was what I got in the 80s. But in the early 90s I was like 7th, 8th grade, 9th, and I literally was collecting these toys 8th grade, 9th grade. I remember Friday nights, there was a spot, there was an arcade, and, there was a shopping center, and all the kids went there on Friday nights to hang out. I'd sneak across the fucking street to the this is when, early 90s, when we still had, what do you call it? Like Walgreens? What a pharmacy? Like but like a town pharmacy. It wasn't like Walgreens, So they still sold toys and shit. Well, I mean they do now, but they had an actual like nice toy section. You know what I mean?
I remember that too.
So I would sneak over there and see like what Hasbro do they have this week that I could grab. So. I was buying these as like a fucking when I shouldn't have been collecting. I should have been getting should have been filling up on broads. I'm out here like grabbing toys still. So, but at that point, I would literally have a notebook, and I would do matches like a fucking idiot. I mean, we could talk about it. I would do matches, and I would pair guys up, and I'd pair them all around me, and I'd pick each guy up, do a little couple moves, boom, 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 and I'd just check off in the book who won, who lost. So I have a book with win-loss records. I probably still have it somewhere. It's pretty funny. But of course, all my favorite wrestlers had the best win streaks. So of course, like I remember, like for me, the Hasbros, like the commercials were so great. And, I feel like now I've seen commercials for toys and shit. If I happen to be on like a kid's channel, but I feel like now there's not much of that stuff. So it was cool to see that. It was cool. Like, I don't think there's a WWE Elite commercial that I know of.
I can't remember the last time I've seen one.
Right. So for me, it was nice to see this. You know, maybe during WWE TV they have something like that, but I don't see it. So to me, it doesn't exist. Yeah. So it was nice to see that. Not I've just wasted 30 minutes droning on about a fucking commercial.
Yeah, we could talk about toys forever.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Boom, hit me with Nyla.
Again? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
We didn't talk Nyla.
You're right. Well, first of all, I love Dasha. It's so, it's so funny. Very quick aside that I do feel needs to be mentioned. I know you don't know this. A lot of people who follow WWE will know this. Dasha came from WWE, and she used to have people used to call her Dasha Bot. Because
she was on. There's my Hasbro's.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, Dasha used to have absolutely no personality whatsoever, so she was called Dasha Bot by people. And she revealed recently in an interview that WWE told her to be that way. They did not want her to exhibit any personality whatsoever.
Yeah, on Jericho's podcast.
Yep, and it's a damn shame because she is very entertaining.
She is.
She's awesome. She's very easy to look at. Really, she is somebody who I could see them doing a lot with if they decide to do more with her.
I didn't realize she was a wrestler.
Well, she's not. I'm saying that if they ever do decide to go in that direction.
No. I'm saying she was you didn't know that? Did you listen to the interview?
I listened to a bit of the interview. Was she a wrestler? She wasn't wrestling with WWE though, right?
She was wrestling early on. She trained there and she wrestled. And
what was her name? Did they give her? Did they say what her name was?
I'm not. I forget. She probably said it. I don't. You know me, dude. My brain is shot.
Well, in that case, then yeah.
She was a wrestler. She's like, they used to have us all do announcing or ring entrances, and I believe announcing when we would do shows. just because you have the body, so you're there, so you would do it. So she said that's how she became a ring announcer, more so.
Yeah.
So so she definitely said she was a wrestler. So that's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
I mean, that's a great opportunity right there. That she's announcing, somebody fucking takes umbrage with her, smacks her around. She comes back and shows, hey, you can't smack me around, beats him up a little bit, and then you go off to the races.
That would be great.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. Because honestly, like Dasha, while she does interviews now, they got plenty of people that could do interviews, and she doesn't do much ring announcing.
Yeah.
So, unless Justin Roberts wasn't there during the coronavirus thing, she was doing it. So, there's an opportunity there where I think they can use her. I've never seen her wrestle. I won't say she's good, but she's athletic.
Yep. Yep.
So,
no, that's great. Then in that case, I'd be all for that. And their ranks are thin enough now where that would be great.
I think we're gonna. Oh, Eddie said he's seen commercials on Cartoon Network. Like I said, Eddie's got kids, so he sees a lot more kids channels.
He's talking about. Oh yeah, okay.
The commercials, yeah. All right, so he's seen them.
Okay.
But again, that's Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
So this is like almost like adult TV. Not necessarily, because kids like wrestling too, but
it makes sense to have it on the actual wrestling program. I mean, you've got people
exactly.
that makes the most sense. So
exactly. So that was cool. So that's cool.
But yeah, getting back to Nyla, I mean, again, this wasn't very hard to predict as far as her manager. I know we were talking about this a bit last week, and the consensus was that Vicky Guerrero would not be a surprise, right. And sure enough, she's not a surprise. Vicky Guerrero is a great character. The excuse me thing is she's like someone posted recently that Vicky Guerrero was the original Karen, and I guess it's true. So here we are now. It's like
she got the what they call Karen hair.
Yeah, she was Karen before Karen was Karen, man. I mean, she had that. She's always been very entertaining. So we'll see how it goes as far as her being a manager with Nyla, and not much else to say. I mean, we'll see where it goes.
I don't know much about her. I know her, obviously. I don't know anything she's really done. I really liked the intro music was fucking awesome.
The intro music was great. Yeah.
That was great. It's funny because while I felt the same way, later on in the week as I keep reading shit, people were like, the intro was the best thing of the whole thing. Then we got to hear her. They're like, oh my gosh, shit. So I don't know. I think people are like split down the middle with her.
Yeah.
It seems like from what I read online.
Well, she either you either are very annoyed by her where she has go away heat, as the saying goes,
right?
Or she's got heat because she is so annoying, but people just love to hate her and they love to see her and give her to hate her. So she's an acquired taste, I think, in that regard. I always found her very entertaining. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes here. I don't know. I think she works better as when she, like in the past, she's managed Edge or she's managed other guys where that works a lot better because, she tries to develop a relationship with them or gets very jealous and they go after other people, whatever, and she gets very whatever. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I think she did manage Tamina Snook at one point. So this is not her first foray into managing, so to speak.
All right.
But we'll see. Again, she's always pleasant to see. I'm glad that she's actually getting some work. She definitely deserves it. So we'll see where we go with her.
Cool.
Yeah.
For sure. Like to see where it goes for sure. Now let's get to it. Brrr. Cage versus Moxley.
Yeah.
My drum roll sucks, so that's why I need the soundboard for drum roll.
I have a question about this, actually, and it's not before we get into it. This really is, I guess, going to get us into it. Was there a point where it was mentioned before this match, in all the build-up to this thing, that Cage had a torn bicep?
Yeah. I mean, they've mentioned this.
When did they mention that? Because I did not remember that, and I almost feel like they brought that up kind of out of nowhere in this.
Well, I mean, they kind of... You know what? I can't say when they mentioned it, but I know I've noticed them mentioning it in the past. Again, the other thing is, where has it been mentioned? Has it been mentioned in interviews where they say, yeah, we wanted to sign Bryan, but...
Oh, no, sorry. You know what?
Him.
I'm sorry. I'm not being clear. I'm talking in terms of storyline. Forget about whether or not it was a real deal that he really does have a torn bicep. I'm talking in terms of storyline, in terms of the build up to this match, when Taz was promoting him, and ever since he came on board, from a storyline perspective, I don't ever remember them mentioning him having a torn bicep, and that's part of my problem with this, that all of a sudden out of nowhere, he's got a torn bicep in this match.
I think he doesn't have a torn bicep. He has a repaired torn bicep.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
I think Moxley earlier in the show mentioned it.
Okay.
And I don't think they've officially were like throughout this build-up said, you know, he has a torn bicep. He had tore his bicep. That's why he's, you know, he had signed with AEW. Maybe they mentioned it once or twice on a couple shows, but it's been a long build-up. It's been, what, 7 weeks?
And they're yet to think again, right? It's been such a long build-up that maybe it just got lost on me when it was actually mentioned. But here's the thing. So, the fact that it played such a role in the match, I should have remembered it. It should not have been a thing where you and I are thinking, well, okay, maybe it was brought up at some point, blah, blah. It's like, nah. This should have been something that you hear all the time so that you understand why it plays a role in this match.
Right. I mean, for us, maybe, like, for me, I know. Like, I guess for the person that doesn't focus that heavy, the casual, you kind of want to, they have them understand what's going on. Yeah. In that sense. So I could see what your complaint is there.
Because the match was decent. I did not have a problem.
Good match.
Match was great.
As expected.
The finish was easily, in my opinion, start the flames and the sizzling and the red alert, one of the lamest, worst finishes I've ever seen in wrestling. Because here's the thing. You got the throwing of the towel, which the only time I ever remember seeing that happen was with Bob Backlund in the Iron Sheik, which was actually pretty cool. Like, that was a great way to really showcase the Sheik back in the day where you see something like that. But you've got Taz coming out here every fucking week talking about how Cage is the shit. And he is the greatest, meanest, most dominating thing of all time. He's bringing him up like he's Ivan Drago and the Terminator all rolled into one.
Yes.
He throws in the towel at the end. And the thing of it is that, and again, I get maybe why
you're making me rethink my notes here.
Okay, because I now, you know, I'm kind of going to jump ahead and then jump back again, because I know that later on, you know, afterwards they do have Brian Cage coming out saying, "Oh yeah, that really sucked." You know, they're kind of teasing them splitting, which is stupid because they really are a great combo. I think Taz serving as Cage's mouthpiece, it's very much got a Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar feel to me. I like the two of them together. I would not like to see them split. I think that works a lot. But with all the bluster over this, it made him look so weak. And what made it compounded to me was that you get Darby Allin, who gets involved after the match. After the towel's thrown in, then he gets involved. You could have had Darby Allin get involved and be the reason for a disqualification. And not
or
how to go,
the reason he got pinned.
The reason he got pinned. Yeah, you're right. Either way.
We said that when we broke this match down.
We did.
We said Darby might be a factor in the ending of this match. And it's a good, clean way to end that match without Cage winning the title. Yeah. And
But Taz throwing in the towel, where does that come from? How do you out of nowhere, after all this build-up, it just made no storyline sense whatsoever. It really made it look weak. And it was if Allin didn't get involved afterwards, it would not have been as bad necessarily. It's like, all right, maybe they could play away over this. But like, you're getting Allin involved anyway. You could have had him get involved, not even had to have the towel angle, and still made it work, and Cage still looks strong. And there's no reason to break up Taz and Cage. If, in fact, that's what they're leading to, why? Why do you do that? Why you need them together? I think, honestly, Cage by himself, not the greatest talker. He really does need a mouthpiece. He's a great body. He's a great worker. Again, I really do see it as a Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar kind of appeal of a package. it ruined the entire thing. It was so messy and so stupid, and it was just lame, man. It was one of the lamest finishes I've ever seen in all the years that I've watched wrestling.
Eddy asked if there's going to be a rematch. Not sure. I mean, I don't think they really touched any base on it.
I don't think they were. I don't think they were leading to that. I think the whole point of this was to set up Allen and Cage.
Yeah, I feel like it's not going to happen because, like he said, Allen versus Page is where they're going. Now, okay, my initial notes were I like the finish. I like the fact that there was a reason that he threw in the towel. You don't want Cage to get his bicep torn and be out again for another 6 months. I like that. I like that Moxley was working the arm really well, putting him in some bad positions. So my initial was I like the finish. Granted, my finish would have been what we spoke about weeks ago, which was Darby Allin being the impetus of him losing the title. Yep. You know, did I use that word right?
Absolutely. Good word. Okay, that's the third big word you've used today, man. It's pretty great. You're regular thesaurus today.
Listen, I'm trying to get bougie on this, okay? Like, I say bad words, but I gotta let you know. Yep. You know, I'm a sophisticated thug, all right?
All right.
So
I like it.
you gotta get bougie when I got it, you know? So, but I honestly preferred Darby out. And I did kind of say, what the fuck would they bring Darby out after the match when they could have used Darby as the fucking catalyst for him losing?
Exactly.
So, you're right. I mean, the more you say it, the more I'm like, I gotta go with you, man. It was a stupid finish, you know. And of course, it's gonna lead to that Darby and Cage promo. Program that we spoke about. So.
You know, in a vacuum, if you didn't have the situation where Taz was beefing him up all these weeks, in a vacuum, if that wasn't taking place, then I can maybe see where this might work as a finish.
That's where you flip me. Is like Taz is talking bad all fucking for 7 weeks or whatever. Just say 7 weeks. Taz is talking. He's the baddest motherfucker. You know, blah, blah, blah. And then you're right. He throws in the towel. It was kind of like, I kind of, at first I got what they were going for with the arm and the reasoning. I put that, you know, but it's almost like I'm thinking more than maybe like a casual fan would, or just a guy who's just watching it. Like I'm trying to think a little deeper into the story than maybe half the people watching would. You know what I mean? I'm not. I don't know how to say it. Like, I guess in a smart way. You know what I mean? Like, same with you. You're kind of like so, but you're looking at it the same way. But you're just still not buying that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of fucking bit into what they were feeding me. You know, and I was gobbling it up, and then I really didn't think back to Taz all them weeks.
That's all I thought of, because they ran it down your throat every bloody week. Right. It's like that's all you hear every week is Taz, talking about Cage all the time. And that's what made me think, because that's all I had on my mind this entire match was Taz.
And you're right. Because you said that, that kind of brought my mindset back to where you were 100% right.
And Eddy just made a very good point here. Sorry to interrupt you. Eddy said, and it was a bad throw. The towel barely made it through the ropes. He's right. So he didn't even sell the throw right.
You're right.
That's a good point.
It was weak. So I'm with you. And honestly, like we just said, I preferred the Allen run in, be the fucking cause. Yep. We spoke about it. That was my booking of it. You know, I know personally when we went over the fucking card, when it was supposed to be on Fyter Fest. So, you know, again, I think you're right. They dropped the ball. They really dropped the ball. They could have had Darby come in. The ref could have took a bump. You know, he could have got bumped by two big guys. fucking took the bump. Darby comes in, bang, skateboards fucking Brian Cage. Skateboards Taz, bang, Taz is down. Brian Cage is down. Jon Moxley rolls him up, takes the pin. Boom. Done.
That's great booking. And that would have been totally fine.
Right. I think maybe AEW is trying to be a little different, so I'll give them that. They're trying to be a little different and not go the obvious route. So I also, at that point, thinking of it in that term, I have to go, you know what? I'm comfortable both ways. I know you're not. I am. I can see the not so obvious booking aspect of it and appreciate that as well. You know what I mean? Because everything's so obvious in wrestling a lot of times.
It's true.
So I will go both. I will say both work for me, but I agree with you in your sentiment as well. I can see exactly where you're coming from, and I can get on your page as well.
It is ironic that when you think about it, we were just last week complaining about this, like, you'd never have any DQs in AEW.
Right.
It's almost like it's a non-DQ federation. Yet we have a towel throw, which we haven't seen since fucking 1979 in WWE.
Well,
actually, no, didn't something happen also with Backlund in '94? I think with the towel throw as well.
I don't know, maybe. But didn't AEW have a towel throw in? They had they did. They had MJF. Remember? MJF threw in a towel for Cody.
Shit, you're right. Okay, so they're not going to do DQs. They're going to have towel throws.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
Listen, I know that.
You're right.
People go, yeah, you want to fucking have, you don't want to have DQs in a title match. Honestly, bro, I'll take DQs in a title match because that's how you keep the title on the champ.
I agree.
Without making your top heel or top face look not, you don't make them look bad.
I agree wholeheartedly.
DQs are fine, man. Just because it's a pay-per-view doesn't mean you have to give them something all the time. Yeah. You don't have to give them a conclusion all the time. You know how fucking... I remember the frustration as a kid. If you could make me feel this way again, like I felt as a kid with wrestling now, I would be so much more invested in it. I remember the frustration of day in and week out of Sting getting fucking attacked by the Horsemen, bludgeoned by the Horsemen, beat up by this guy, and beat up by Vader, attacked by Rude. And I just remember you just wanted, you were like, when the fuck is he going to get him back? Yep. Like and then when he got him back, you were just, you were elated. You were over the moon. You were like, yeah! That feeling as an adult is gone. As a smarter, as you call him, Mark, as someone who knows, you could read about it and shit now and know all the ins and outs behind it. That luster's gone. So wrestling, for me now, is just, I have to take it for what it is, entertainment-wise. I'll never get that feeling back as a kid, and I think that's a lot of people. Listen, I listen to some people's conversation, and they still talk like they're 12 years old about wrestling, which is weird to me. It's just weird to me. But it's a weird thing about the wrestling fan community. Not all, but they have a set of people within that community that are like oddly like 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
But that feeling, man, it's almost like that feeling. I miss that feeling, and it's like as a guy who understands that I miss that feeling and understands wrestling, and I'm not going to shit on a DQ because I know that's wrestling.
Exactly.
Man. I think these people now in these positions where they're booking this stuff feel like we can't do that to the fans. They're not going to accept it. You got to make them fucking accept it. You have to make them accept what the fuck it is. Like it is wrestling. It's part of wrestling. It's part of the story. Your guy gets beat up. He gets fucking... He wins on a DQ. He still doesn't get what he deserves. So then you could build it again, and eventually he gets that title.
Yep.
Sting, Great American Bash. You know what I'm saying?
And a DQ,
you know how much?
Yeah, DQ is a perfect vehicle for keeping a story going. If you want, you don't have to just kill a feud in one shot, which unfortunately this really did. I mean, you really don't have much of an opportunity now for a rematch because.
Which I know they weren't going to.
They weren't going to anyway,
Darby.
sure. But at the very least, Cage now, even though this wasn't his choice, obviously, he's got a lot of the shine rubbed off him now. The fact that, okay, he lost this match because his manager threw in the towel on him. It makes him look weak. And even though it wasn't his decision, he comes out later, oh, yeah, it's not my choice. It still makes him look weak. And it wasn't necessary.
I don't think it makes him look weak, but I think, you know, like I said, I get both sides at this point.
Yeah.
So, but me personally, I don't think it makes him look weak. I think the reasoning behind it is to make him not look weak. If anything, it just makes Taz look like an idiot, you know?
Yeah.
Which is fine, because he's there to be the boob, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I'm not going to take Taz seriously ever again. If he ever gets behind somebody else, I'm just going to be like, you're just going to throw the fucking towel on him the next time you...
Yeah. Sucker. You fell for it twice?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I don't got anything else. So
no,
you got anything else?
That's it. You know.
All right, well.
It was overall a good show, but the ending really pissed me off.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it was a bad show. I'd probably give it a... I mean, I guess because it was kind of a card. I mean, I'd give it an 8. Probably an 8.
I'll say 7.
I thought it was better than Fyter Fest. I think.
Okay.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because Fyter Fest had a lot of good matches, but yeah. I mean, I'll go 7-8. I'll go 7-8 in between.
I'll say 7.
All right, man. Just want to say again, check us out on Skype. Link in the description. Like, share, and subscribe on YouTube so you can catch us live. Hit the bell. Twitter, we are AEW Uncensored. All one word. Email AEW Uncensored Podcast at gmail.com. Facebook, we have a page and a group, AEW Uncensored Podcast. Just search that and you'll get them both. Or the links in the description, actually. Actually, links in the description for all this. Catch us on iTunes, Google Podcast, Stitcher, iHeart, Deezer. You know, all those links are down there. Any podcast app you're on. Uncensoredalliance.com is our website. All that shit's there too. You know, just like we said, man, we want you guys to hit us up on Skype, get on the show with us, chat with us. I don't know if you listened to last week's show. We had our friend Eddy on. We'd like random people to come on, you know, maybe not for the whole show, but you come on, you give some quick opinions, some thoughts on shit, and you know, we move to the next guy. But you know, all that goes through Skype. So send us a message on there and let us know you want to join in our Skype chat, and you know, we'll add you to that. And you know, other than that, we got the website, YouTube. Send us emails, anything you want to let us know or give us feedback on, or hit us on any social media. Send us a message. But we just want to thank you again for tuning in.
Yep.
Hopefully this week I didn't bumble over so many words. I felt like we might have got a win today.
And you got big words.
Got a win. Yeah, I did. I used.
You not really didn't stumble over words. You got big words.
Right. I had to really come strong this week. I had to show off, you know.
And my Skype didn't go down, and we each had a rant. So
yes.
I think overall win-win-win.
Yeah, you know what? That is a fucking win. We got to win, bro. The East West Connect has won our first fucking match,
That's
baby.
right.
Woo!
That's right.
As the Nature Boy would say. And enough with the goddamn chops, man. Leave that shit to the Nature Boy. Bro, I was watching, before we go, I was watching Flair versus Hogan. I forget what fucking pay-per-view. Man, I tell you one thing, man. People really wind up and prep up the chops that they do now to try to get that Ric Flair slap.
Yeah.
Bro, Ric Flair did it with fucking no space.
Nope.
He did it fucking 6 inches from their chest, and he got that slap, boy. Like, it's been a while since I really watched an older Flair match, you know. Just watching it again, I'm like, good Lord, man. Like, that dude does it, man. Stop trying to be Ric Flair, all you fucking current modern wrestlers.
Can't imitate.
Just do your shit, bro. Like, get a slap every once in a while. But
And if Ric Flair was wrestling today, he would be going, chop, chop. Or his opponent. His opponent would be going, chop me.
Chop me. As you, yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, that just popped into my head real quick thinking about the stupid chops. But all right, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks as always to Eddie.
See you next week. Peace.
Peace out.